not sure if this game is called Rallycross or Rally X. I'll go with X. Released in October 1980, it was Namco's next game after Pac-Man. I am familiar with Rally X from a school geography field trip in the early 80s. There was this game and Space Invaders in the lobby of the hostel we were staying in. Rally X took most of my 10p's. It is a game I really like, not just for nostalgic reasons. Like Pac-Man, it is played in an enclosed maze, with you being chased by several antagonists. But that is where the similarities end. You control a blue car, and your object, for whatever reason, is to collect 10 yellow flags scattered around the maze. Out to stop you are 4 suicidal red cars who would rather chase you down, crash into you, and die in a fiery wreck than let you have these flags. I really need to stop over-analyzing arcade game plots. Also scattered around the maze are rocks, which you must avoid. You only have a finite amount of fuel which runs down, and you get bonus points for fuel left at the end of each round. If the red cars get too close, you can release a smoke screen which slows them down but uses up fuel. You get progressively more points for collecting the flags. One special flag is marked with an S, which doubles the points for collecting subsequent flags in that level. To help you out, there is a radar. This shows your car, the position of the flags, and the whereabouts of enemy cars. What it doesn't show is the maze layout or the location of rocks. After 3 rounds, and every 4 rounds thereafter, is, in best English, the challenging stage. Here you have to collect all 10 flags again, but the red cars don't move. What makes this level challenging is that the car is faster, and like the main game, it never stops and turns automatically when it hits a wall. Sometimes this can mean steering into a rock or an enemy car if you don't have your wits about you. A few months later, in February 1981, Namco released New Rally X, which was a tweaked version of Rally X. The graphics and music were slightly improved. The mazes were simplified to reduce the number of places players could be trapped. The number of enemy cars were reduced. The special S flag is now marked on the radar as a blinking dot. There is now an L for Lucky Flag, which gives bonus points for the amount of fuel you have remaining. They have learnt how to spell challenging. It was an easier game than the original, but maybe a little too easy. It doesn't look like there was much interest in making home ports of Rally X. As with Pac-Man, HAL Laboratories converted Rally X to the VIC-20 for the Japanese market. Once again, it was marketed by Commodore and released in 1981. VIC Rally X is not a great game. Due to the lower resolution graphics, the view is zoomed in, so you have less time to react to enemy cars. Couple this with the jerky graphics and unresponsive controls, it is not fun. Ignoring the saying, once bitten, twice shy, Commodore did what they did with Pac-Man and released the game outside of Japan. At least this time, as well as the name, they changed the graphics and the music. Rally X became Radar Rat Race. Your car became a mouse, the enemy cars became rats, the rocks became cats, the flags became cheese, and the smoke screen became a little twinkly mouse fart. The music turned into a repetitive few notes of 3 blind mice, guaranteed to drive you bonkers after 30 seconds. Rally X wasn't released on the Commodore 64, but Radar Rat Race was in 1982. Although it was released by Commodore themselves for their own computer, it didn't make use of any of the custom chips for sound or hardware scrolling. It plays better than the VIC-20 version, but the scrolling is still jerky and the music is still the same. It wouldn't be so bad if they played the full tune and made some use of the SID chip. The only remaining conversion of note is for the MSX computer. programmed by Namco themselves and released in 1984. It was published on the Namcot label in Japan and by Bug-Byte in the UK. Although it is titled Rally X, it is actually based on New Rally X. It's a fun little game with smooth graphics and great sound. It is only let down by the limited amount of colours. I'll leave you with some gameplay of the original Rally X. Thanks for watching, and until next time, cheerio.